Now I got as far as here, and then I realized that of course I was drawing these units with free sizing. In other words, any size I wanted them to be. That's because I've always made my own kitchens, and so I can make kitchens whatever size, whatever units, whatever widths are required, then that's what I make. And I do like to do this sort of thing, little bits of internal symmetry, like these two units are actually the same width. And I do think this does look nicer, and it's one of the advantages of being able to make custom size units. However, some of you will be needing to use units from a standard range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this file, and then I'm going to start one, and this time we're going to use some standard units, and we'll see what we can come up with for that. So let's we've saved that already, so now I'm going to save that as and I'm going to put, what shall we call this, fixed sizing. So I'm going to make some changes, but I'm not going to lose the original design. Let's put the window wall back. Get rid of that guideline by pressing Ctrl and D. Now, as you'll recall that this unit's 450 and it was to match a unit was up here. Now, it's all a question of what what's the range of units that you've chosen, what's available within those ranges and the standard sizes. I don't know about 450, but we can assume that 400 would be available. And they might do a tall unit which would fit on there, but let's assume that they don't, and let's assume that we need to put in a wall unit, and let's assume it's going to be 400 because it'll definitely do a 400 size unit. So I'm going to get my rectangle key by pressing R, and I'm going to say that this unit, if you look at the dimension box, you'll see that it's the width is the one that's shown first. So I'm going to enter 400, and let's say 720. That's certainly a standard wall unit size. And we'll pull it out by how far, how much should we say? Let's say 350. It's anybody's guess if they actually do that or not. And we'll use the offset key to put a door panel in, 75, and I push that in by 7mm, and there we've got a wall unit. Make that into a group. Generally like to have wall units about around about 500 above the worktop. So I'm going to slide this up by 500. And I also need to move it out 50mm because of the filler needed to get the door opening properly. So move that out by 50. Again, we'll just ask you to imagine that there's a filler in there at the moment. Now, I know that actually, let's pull one of these units out. Leave it there. And better have one of these highline units out because I actually moved the unit rather than leaving a copy there. So now I need to, perhaps I'll get rid of that altogether, because we can't assume that the manufacturers of your particular kitchen were going to be able to do an 845 unit. Press the delete key, and now I'm going to put a highline unit in the corner again by, let's take the party wall off, and that's the highline unit. Let's move it into position. Move it out 50mm. This is currently 600 wide, and need to make it narrower. So just select that side. Make sure you get that edge of the door as well when you're doing this. move it in by 200. And now I've got a 400 wide cabinet there. Now what's the space that's left? 1740. Now well, how can we divide this up? Most units are available in, usually it's multiples of hundreds, and once it goes above 600 it might jump up by a couple of hundreds, so quite likely to go something like 300, 400, 500, 600, 800, 1000, sometimes 900. Sometimes you get odd sizes such as 150, which is about the narrowest cabinet you're likely to come across. Quite often things like wine racks, etc. might be that kind of width, and we might in fact have to use a 150 just to cope with this awkward measurement. So 1740, how can we divide that up? If we subtract 150, if we have 1740 and subtract 150 from it, then we'd be left with 1590. This is going to be easy actually. 1590, if we made that 1600, then that's obviously going to divide by 2 for 1800. So all I need to do is to move this across by 10. That's going to, the new gap is going to be 1750. I can put a 150 unit in. Let's put, what should we have? Let's have, I should have left a copy of this. Let me just, no, I can get one. Once I start putting units in, I don't really need to leave these units out here. Let's get hold of one of these. Let's bung it in here. Put it up against that line. What width is this? This is 450. So I need to reduce that by 300. Bring it down to 150. Let's open it. I'm going to get rid of the, because you wouldn't be able to make a door that narrow. It'd have to have some kind of something else on the front, maybe just an open front, or sort of little shelf compartments where you put wine bottles in. Move that in by 300. Now something went wrong there. There's a remnant of the door panel left there. Whenever anything goes wrong, Control and Z will be your friends. Go back, have another look. There's something inside this cabinet somehow. Let me see. I'm going to use the X-ray key. Aha. If I press on X, then we'll go into X-ray mode. Just bear with me a moment while I sort this out. I'm going to use the erase. Press D. Let's erase that. There we are. Oops. I want you. Go back, press X again to go out of X-ray mode. And now I should be able to reduce this size of this, 450. Quite useful making mistakes sometimes when you're doing teaching. You can actually show people how to rectify them. So now we're down to 150. I don't like narrow cabinets myself. I never make them normally, but if you are stuck with using an existing range, then you're going to have to do tricks like this. We'll take the window wall off so we can see what we do. It's quite likely that if you're trying to keep the symmetricality thing going, then quite likely you're going to end up with one of those units on the other side as well. So now if my calculations are right, this space should now be 1600, which will obviously divide nicely into 800. So let's enter 800 here. And now I can use this pan drawer unit, because as I was saying earlier, pan drawers, especially if they have a smaller drawer at the top, they're very, very useful things. Should use them a lot. Not so keen on the type which has just two large drawers and no little drawer at the top. Little drawers are tremendously useful. You can keep your mobile phone chargers in, cutlery, etc. And It's not often you need the full capacity of an enormous pan drawer. This arrangement will work much better. Now I shouldn't have done that. These two keys for undo and redo, quite handy. I was getting rid of that line because I find these guidelines quite distracting, but obviously I still needed that one, so select the right hand edge. Let's go around the back so I can see it more easily. Get the move tool. There we go. Now we've got an 800 wide, and then we want another one of these. I'll select it, move it along, press Control, leave a copy. Well, yeah, now that's. I don't think it's as nice as the previous one, but as I say, you know, if you're stuck using units from a standard range, then maybe this is what you're going to have to do. Right, let's stop there.